Aloha! Hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 group from Real Broker, and I'm with
Amber Haley from Real Broker.
And we are here to tell you some truths and about East Hawaii. And one of the reasons why we are doing this video. Hey, people over on Facebook. There you go. We're here. Hey, so are we there? Okay, here we go. Aloha, Julie Ziemelis, 365 group, Real Broker, and we are here with Amber Haley with Real Broker's Way. Well, and we're also going to be doing the East Side update, but for another video right outside of this, we're going to be talking about different aspects of living in East Hawaii as well. So you guys are going to see that piece of content also afterwards. So if you stay on this one, you get to hear it. But if you're over in YouTube land, you're going to get another piece of video yumminess from Amber and all her information from the East Side. So let's go to what's happening in January of 2024 in East Hawaii.
All right. Well, we are filming this on January 10th right now. So most of these stats are going to come from December sales, our most recent full month of sales in the Puna District and the South Hilo District over on the big side of the beautiful big island of Hawaii. And let's jump right into it, shall we? You want to start with South Hilo today?
Right, South Hilo.
Okay, South Hilo, we are going to talk about the median home sales value. So there were 21 single-family homes that sold in South Hilo.
Okay.
In the month of December.
Yeah,
and
compare that
to the month before, there were 19, so it was a slightly more inventory, which is kind of interesting because that was over the holidays, and it was slightly less than the year before. Oh. So a full year, that would have been 2022, technically.
Okay.
End of 2022. So the median sales price was $478,950 in South Hilo. And that is just slightly above what it was for the month of November. Oh. The month before, where it was $475,000. And then a year ago, December 2022, the median sales price for a single-family home was $525,000 in the Hilo district. Oh. So there is quite a range of properties there. But I will say, some of the newer construction that I have been seeing in South Hilo, if you're looking at like Hilo Hillside, or one of the subdivisions with those brand new homes. Some of them have some more custom finishes. Yeah. A lot of those I've been seeing priced at the $1 million or even higher mark. Wow. So just when I say that, you know, the median value is $478,000, just keep in mind there is quite a range in Hilo. So if you're picturing like a brand new construction, that's probably going to cost you on the higher end.
Right. $1 million.
Yes.
And then that's those new neighborhoods that they're building off of Saddle Road?
Yes. Okay. So there's some new construction subdivisions off of Saddle Road there, yes.
Okay. Yeah. You know, we got to do a neighborhood tour of some of those homes, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So you guys
see it.
Have that to look forward to. We'll make that in Hilo for you.
Yep. In fact, in 2024, we're going to take Amber on a lot of road trips so you guys can understand all the different neighborhoods. So. Yeah.
Let's show you the whole island. All right. So let's talk about list to sales price. So for the month of December, it was at 94.15%. Now we compare that to the month before. I don't know if you guys remembered. If anybody tuned in the month before, the sales price in the South Hilo district was 104%. So
wow.
On average, I know median's not exactly average, but it went a little bit over. Now we're at 94, which is about almost exactly what it was the year before, December 2022. So 94 list to sales price.
Okay.
And getting a little wind here. And okay, so that's the South Hilo district.
Okay, but put this into context in terms of what that means to them when they hear the 94%.
Oh, yes. And we also want to talk about how long homes sit on the market.
Right.
So basically what you guys really want to know is if you were to like list your home right now, what would it sell for? Right. So we talked about the median price. But again, it's a range. So that's why you do want to partner up with a really knowledgeable real estate agent. But it was at $478,950. List of sales price, 94%. So if you are making an offer on one of those houses, what do you need to offer? Most of the properties are still selling slightly under list price.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's room for movement there in terms of getting the new roof or having a little bit of some contingencies dealt with.
Yes. The other thing you probably want to know is how long would it take to sell?
Right. How long?
So this is an interesting stat here. Average days on market for the South Hilo district last month was 36 days. So things are selling. It's actually pretty quick.
Okay. So 36 days.
36 days.
On the market.
On the market.
That doesn't necessarily mean from the time that you list the house to the time that someone actually accepts the offers, when it actually closes.
When it actually closes. But sometimes this data, I will say, does get a little skewed based on how the agent inputs it into the MLS.
Okay.
So we kind of use it like, you got to take all of any data point in real estate that we give you with like a little bit of a grain of salt, because there are these little one-offs that we can't like completely explain all the time, but we kind of look at general trends and can make educated, guesses and informed decisions and help you all understand the market based on these bigger trends that we see.
Because I always tell you the truth. Normal time in an escrow is 45 days. So if you have a mortgage, that's kind of like the average time to get it done. So if they're closing the escrows within 36 days or whatever, that means the houses are coming off the market pretty quick.
And it also means it's like, I can tell like people have put it in the MLS differently. Have you noticed some people will put it like contingent, some people will put it like under contract, it'll kind of disappear, and I do think that skews our data a little bit.
Yeah.
This will be something we should talk to Lance, I think, a little more about.
Yeah,
he's really been involved in the MLS.
Yeah, because basically it's garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
If the agent didn't do the right thing at the beginning with them, then the numbers are messed up.
But the biggest point to tell you all is that things sold quicker by a significant amount in December than they did in November.
Okay, by how fast?
So the stat that I have for November sales is 60 days on market.
See.
Yes, and the year before it was 50. So, regardless of that, the bigger trend is that things sold a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like that's pretty fast. So even though they might be getting a little less than they first asked for, it's still going off the market pretty quickly. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the demand is definitely still there.
The demand is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to know, because you're not going to be able to sit around for a month, because it sounds like almost like you can walk around for a month looking for a house. No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to make a decision still pretty quick, even though you can like work with the seller, right?
And also, this is really important for you all to know if you're a home buyer, because one thing a stat that you probably see if you're like browsing homes on the internet, or if you go tour homes with me, that I'll give you on that house, is how many days it's been sitting on market. So,
that's it.
Yes. So I've shown a lot of homes in the last 2 weeks that have been sitting on the market for like 120 days.
Okay.
So when you are empowered with information, like, okay, in this area, the average home that's selling is 35 days, then there's something going on with this house. There might be something wrong with the house. Probably there's something wrong with the price.
Yes.
So that means we have more room to negotiate. So these are important things to know. Days on market are really important because it determines how much room you have to negotiate.
Right.
And negotiate not just price, but terms.
There you go. And I'm going to tell you, because we're dealing with this right now too. If you are thinking about listing your home and you don't price it correctly for the market, and it turns into 100 days on the market, then people start saying something's wrong with this house.
What's wrong with this house?
Right.
And we call that a stale listing. You don't really want a stale listing. So it's important when you're a buyer or a seller to know this information.
Right. And that's why you hire realtors.
Yes, because this is what we do every day.
There's the value, guys.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about Puna, where most of the sales were for the month of December. There were 55 units, so single family houses that sold in Puna in December. And that's slightly down from the month of November, which is kind of like a normal trend that we usually have around the things closing around the holidays. And the year before it was 66. So a little bit less. The median sales price was $395,000. That was up a little bit, which is interesting, from November, where it was $365,000. And let's see, the year prior it was $358,500. So that's good news if you are somebody who's bought in Puna. It looks like the trend has gone up a little bit this month. We've kind of seen over the last, I want to say 6 months, we've seen some months where it goes down a little bit, some months where it goes up a little bit. Those are normal little dips we see with statistics, but I think there's a lot of people who have been concerned about like home values going like way down or something like that. So $395,000, also good news for buyers, because that's pretty darn affordable.
Yeah, you know what? And this is what they call an even market, where it doesn't completely favor the sellers, but it doesn't completely favor the buyers. Yeah. So it's just like everybody's just right there. And same thing with the mortgage rates. When we talk about the mortgage rates, it's 6.5%. That's about what it is normally. We're not going to see 2 and 3% again. And thank goodness we're not at 8%. So kind of like this is the market that we're living in now. So there we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So $395,000. 55 homes sold, and the average days on market was 42. That goes along with the same trend we saw in South Hilo. Things that closed in December sold quicker than the things that closed in November. where our days on market was 56. And get this, the year before in 2022 it was 67.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it is
picking up a little bit. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing. So that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Now let's talk about list to sales price. Okay. So in the Puna District, 94% list to sales price. And that was almost the same as the month before. It was like 93.5. And the year before it was 91.99. So that would have been December 2022 compared to December 2023, where it was 94. So I will say, because I work probably in the Puna District, definitely in the Puna District right now, more than anywhere else on this island. So I see a lot of the inventory, like pretty much every house that comes on the market, I think, especially in Lava Zone 3, at least I see a lot of them. So there are definitely still some sellers who are overpriced in Puna right now, and those homes are sitting longer. And then also keep in mind that 94%. So usually if a house has been overpriced, it's usually been like price reduced. Once, maybe even twice. I'm seeing still a lot of twice reduced before it goes under contract in the Puna District. Just saying that based off of all of the things I see every single week. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes sellers are still pricing high. And so, yeah, that's kind of like from the final price.
Yeah. Right, you know what? We laugh and say, you know what, buyers nowadays, because they can consistently keep checking Zillow, let's say.
Yes.
And then they say, oh, really, I like this house. And then Zillow gives them the price of what the house they think is worth, right?
Yeah.
And so the seller's like, that's bullshit. I put all these new things into my house, or I think it's worth this much more. And then buyers have this idea of what the house is actually worth, right? And so it's kind of like a psychological game where I'm not going to bid on that house because I think it's overpriced. And sellers like, no, my house is worth this much. And it starts to become who's gonna blink first. Yeah. Right? And then so when you're talking about a seller taking their price down twice, that means they say, okay, well, we're going to do a little bit and see if that gets me anywhere. And then they finally have to say, okay. And then the buyers go, okay, that's the name. That's what I needed. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And usually they hit right on it oftentimes, because it's usually multiple offers. Yeah. And they finally get that price right.
Because people like circle around looking for that, right?
Yeah. They've been waiting. I've had that happen a lot because I'm working with a lot of buyers right now. And so we know when we see that price reduction, we kind of need to move quickly.
See?
If I'm telling you that's probably priced right, I'm showing you all the comps. Let's not waste time.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. This is like, this, again, we have some people who are trying to sell their homes. And when you are in the industry and you see what's happening out there, you talk to people, you have a good feeling for what's, buyers are doing this right now. They want to get in, but they don't want to get in for an overpriced listing.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then speaking of that, you guys, we have some strategy that one of our mortgage brokers gave us yesterday. If you guys want to go to the one we just released it yesterday with Joe Egan, he's our mortgage partner, and he was talking about some of the strategies, and he's basically saying interest rates are going to go down this year, and then more buyers are going to come on the market. So actually buying sooner than later, because right now, like we're talking about it being an even market, if there's more buyers in the market, they might break before the sellers do, right? And then they're going to pay those higher prices, right? So that's just a little bit of strategy.
I do agree with him. I do think that's what we're going to see. And then maybe he talked about this too. I know a lot of lenders are talking about it. Sometimes a good strategy for some buyers might be to ask for some credits. And instead of just using those credits straight for, other kinds of closing costs, using them for your loan to buy down points.
Bring down the pots, yeah.
That really goes a lot farther when you calculate that all out.
Right. Makes it a little less expensive to hold the loan. Right?
Yeah. So that's, a strategy that some people are using rather than maybe waiting and for what they hope is like a further reduction in the mortgage rates, because that is going to be a thing when the rates go down. The buyers are all going to run in and just think of all these other buyers here too. You're not the only one sitting at home waiting right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're getting more phone calls right now too. So I definitely think that this year people are going to make this a year. So
yeah, and I think the rates are sinking in where people are realizing, okay, this is what it is now.
Right. Let me talk about the 6.5% that they said that there was a sticker shock of people saying, "What? It's not 2 or 3% anymore? What? I guess I'll wait until it gets down to that point again." Well, it ain't going down there. Yeah. Right. So it's taking a little bit to get to the 6. And according to Joe, if you guys watch the mortgage update, he says it could go down as low as, let's say, a 5.75 or something. But they're supposed to bring the rates down little gradual steps throughout this year. But we don't know what the Fed's going to do. But they do say that it should come down a little bit because inflation's getting under control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you are in the market to buy a house, and that's the reason why you're probably watching this, you can talk to Amber ahead of time and get a game plan, because we do have people saying that they're coming to the island to do some kind of like tours and seeing how things go. And having that set up about like right before you show up, you see what's, you get your little listing alert of what's actually on the sale, and that way they can get an idea of what they want to see. And then also you get a chance to like have a conversation with them and making sure that they're pre-approved and all the stuff, right? Because if you call one of the realtors and say, I want to see this house, and we don't know you from Adam, and we don't know your background, and we haven't had a conversation, it's more difficult to give you the service I think you probably want.
Yeah. So I would say my quick suggestion for everyone, if you're sitting at home and you're thinking you're going to start this relocation process, that one of the best things you can do is reach out now. You can reach out to me, reach out to Julie. Let's get connected. I love to hop on like a Zoom. If you have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, kind of run over the process. I would love to do that with you, kind of tell you some of the nuances of buying on the Big Island, buying in East Hawaii, make sure you're connected with a lender. You can never start that too early, because most people wish that they had talked to a lender earlier. People hesitate to take that step because they're like, oh, I'm just not quite ready yet. Do it now, because there's some things that might surprise you, and you know certain properties that your loan program aren't going to, you're not going to be able to buy. Might as well learn all that now, or learn what you need to do to be in a position to buy a house.
Right.
We could hop on a Zoom. So even if you're on the mainland, or a phone call, but I like Zoom because it's kind of fun. We can virtually meet. And then if you're coming out for like a scouting trip, what's great is if we touch base, we'll stay in touch. I'll get to know what you like, what you don't like in houses. You'll communicate with your lender, work on that stuff. But touch base again before you get here, kind of help you come up with a game plan of where to drive around and look, because a lot of people have either never been to the Big Island, or they just haven't done it strategically from a real estate thing where they're like driving down the roads and all of that. So come up with a game plan like that, and then when you're ready, go look at houses in person. But
there you go. A strategic map.
We can do it strategically, and we can do it a lot of it virtually.
Yeah, and also we have this gentleman that we're talking to, and he's never been to the Big Island, and he's convinced that where he thinks he wants to buy. And I said, have you even like looked at the Google Maps in terms of what that looks like for topography? And he's like, not really. He's like, but I've lived all over California. I'm like, nothing will prepare you for what the topography in East Hawaii looks like. So you really should come, and you should definitely have a chance to talk to Amber about some of the things you might not know that will change your mind about maybe working in different parts of the island.
Yeah. So. And one thing I hear a lot, do you hear this a lot, Julie? Oh, but I lived on Oahu 20 years ago.
Oh. That's awesome. I mean, it is Hawaii, so awesome. there are like things that are like important that you learn living on any island. That you're like, okay, that'll be culture. Similar. Yeah. But I mean, I've been to Oahu, and like it could not be. When I go, I'm like, oh, this is so different than where I live. So if you lived on Oahu 20 years ago, I would highly recommend coming and doing a scouting trip here, because it is very different. Yeah, and even when we were running around with you on that video and going into like Oregon Land Estates, I had never really been back there and seen how much land there is for what 3 acres actually looks like, and how far you are away from your neighbors. Yeah. You really need to actually stand and look around and listen and be part of like being there. Yeah, it gives you a better feeling really for, does it feel good? Does it speak to you? Yeah, right. Yeah, and you don't want to go off of does it feel good to me or does it feel good to Julie. A lot of people look to us and like we will help. We will help guide you, but it's got to be what's right for you. We're all different people. Right. We all have different comfort levels, different things we're looking for, different priorities, different budgets, all of those things. Right. So. And it can't always just be about the money. Just because you can only afford a certain amount, you really have to see what you're getting for that money. So that's what I'm going to say. Yeah. So some good tips for you guys along with your stats this month. There you go. Is anybody over here on Facebook? Yeah. Does anybody on Facebook have any questions for Amber?
I haven't made any questions lately.
Okay, they just sit here and watch and they go, okay. Okay, so we don't want to take too much of your time over here. What we're going to do is we're going to let you guys know that Amber will be speaking at our island-wide market update on the 18th of this month, which I think is just next Thursday. And what we're going to do is at that juncture, she basically gives you an update on what these stats look like any more trends that she's hearing about. And then we have agents from around the island talking about the different parts of the island. So you'll have a chance to do that if you want to jump on a Zoom call. And also, Amber will be doing this the first Wednesday of February. And so then we'll see how things are cooking. Yep. And supposedly the first rates that might get cut might be in March. So again, if you guys are thinking about buying a house and they start cutting rates, people are going to jump in. So definitely get your ducks in a row. Make sure your mortgage financing is in place, and you get a chance to talk to Amber so you guys can get your game plan going. Call us. Cool. Okay. So with that, we will say aloha to our people over here on YouTube, and the people on Facebook want to hang on. We're going to talk about the cons of living in East Hawaii.
Let's start again.
Oh, we're gonna start again. Okay,
bye.
Okay, aloha.